this is an easy stretch routine. I developed it to flow and to be easy to remember. This has helped me to get to a way better place healing wise for my back injury, and it's honestly kept me in a really good place body wise, like even like with the structures to the muscle tension, all that jazz. Like it's awesome and really easy. You can do it super fast. You can make it take super long. It's totally up to you how long you want to hold these poses, or these stretches, and what you want to do with it. You can get creative and deviate from it, but if you're having a hard time knowing where to start, this is a really good place to start. And everything I'm doing can be modified. So if you can't do it, modify it. If you're not sure how to modify it, reach out to me. Like, I can try to help you with that. But let's just get into it. So after a long day's work, I'm all stiff, and if I sit down, I'm going to turn into, I always tell people I get the rigor mortis, the stiff body if I don't do this. So I get home and I stretch. I also do this in between every session and first thing in the morning and right before bed. If I feel up to it. It just depends on the circumstances, but definitely after work and in the morning. I like to start out with some cat-cow. And I like to come closer to my knees with my hands. You can come out here. It's wherever you want to start. When I first started doing this after my back injury, I was pretty far out and I only went a little bit. Like, that's as far as I went. So if you're healing a back injury, start less, start little. You don't have to do a lot. But now I've graduated to a much healthier body, thank goodness, and I can do a lot more. So, do the nice cow. And some nice cat. Oh, it feels so good. I usually get some nice adjustments in my back and in my neck. Oh, kind of move those hips, kind of move those shoulders while you're doing it. Feels so good. And after you get your fill of that one, we're going to go into what I call cheerleader, which is a very modified pigeon pose. And you're just sitting here like this, like cheerleader. I like to just kind of hang out in this position before I move on, but like I said, we're going to get through the stuff and then you can decide how long you want to do it. So I have my legs here. I'm going to start with, we're going to be working on this right hip. So that's why this leg is right here. I'm going to then lean over that right knee while it's bent. If you can't go that far, you can do this. If you can't even go that far, you can use yoga blocks. I know for a while my belly was a little too squishy to be bending that far, and that's okay. So you get the yoga blocks and you hold wherever you can. The most important thing is that you're feeling the stretch and you're feeling the results in your hip. And you might feel it kind of in your back and whatnot too. And I'm going to come down. If you need the yoga blocks, it would kind of look like this. I don't need these. I just come down and just kind of sink over that and hang out. This is a good time to get on your phone or watch a show or brush your cat or your dog or just any of that stuff that's just going to relax you into this joint and just kind of sit there with it. You can move your hips, you can move your upper body. I like to do little pumps. This kind of pumps that joint. Yeah, it feels really good. You can kind of move the body. I'm kind of moving all around, just playing with that full range of motion. And that's what we're going to do in all of these stretches, is to play with that range of motion. And that just helps your body and your nervous system understand where you're at now and kind of, push you to where you're going to be. Because if you keep this up, you will get very good at these and pretty mobile and flexible, which is cool. All right, and after we do this for a while, do those pumps, hang out in that knee with cheerleader, we're going to go into full pigeon. And so sometimes you can't go all the way back. This is like full pigeon pose. If you can only go back this far, if you can only go back this far, like whatever feels right for you. Trying to get in here. If you're like, this is super easy, well, you know what? I challenge you to move your leg around and to keep doing it. Because you will find all sorts of different ways to stretch that joint. But I'm going to stick right here, and once again, you can use yoga blocks. If this is all you can do, do that. Come down here with the yoga blocks. I like to go all the way down. Oh, feels so good. It's like usually when I'm stretching, I noticed from the previous video I did that did not make it to print, I looked really stoned when I did this because it's like calming me down. So like that's totally normal. Just go with it. Oh, and I'm rocking in this joint. Oh, rocking over that right knee. I feel some little pops and stuff in my back. I'm wiggling those hips. It feels really good in that joint. Really good. And you can just play with that and hang out here for as long as you feel comfortable. If your body's not protesting, hang out there for a while. If you're on a time crunch, do what you can. Don't forget to do those nice pumps. Those are so good just for that joint and for that range of motion. And then after you get done with that, you feel like you got your fill of it on this side, we're going to go into what I call 90 degrees. I don't know what this is called other than what I've named it. And I call it that because this leg, the right leg that was bent, is now going to go out directly in front of me, creating this 90-degree angle, sort of. And this leg, if you can't go all the way out like this, that's okay. Go where you can. If you're only right there, that's okay. The most important thing is that you can get this leg out as far as you can, and then you're going to go with your body above it, and you're going to just kind of, sink in there. Just sink into that joint. It feels so good. I can feel it in my back. I can feel it down into the rotators, into IT, into all of the stuff on the leg. You might even feel it kind of in here, in your adductors. Wherever you're feeling it, it's good. Like you're stretching it. If you need to do yoga blocks, that would look more like this, where you just kind of come up and hang out there. You do what you can. You can come down further. You can hold yourself up. But I like to just go down into it and just sink in here. Feels so good. So good. If it's your first time doing this kind of a stretch, be very careful. The first time I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I think I could only go about here because it was just so tight. I was so tight in the side, so be really gentle, really careful. Sometimes I start to feel some congestion down into the foot, like it'll refer down in there. You can take your fingers like a pincher and pinch like the top of your foot and that bottom and just hold it. Feels so good. Sometimes energy lines get activated and you can feel little clogs when you do this, or it could just be that your foot's tight and it's referring into a muscle up here that we're now stretching. So don't be afraid to feel in there and work on your feet, get those toes, just help stuff move around. All right, and make sure to always do the pumps, always do little pumps. All right, now we're gonna go back into cheerleader, and we're going to be doing this quad. So we're going to be stretching this quad because we're in this convenient, nice flowy routine. And all I'm going to do is I stay in this position and you're just going to lean back. You're just going to lean back. Oh, it feels so good. If you can't lean back like that, let's say that your back's all messed up, but you know you need this, get these blocks, put them up high, and just kind of go back. If you can only go here, that's fine. Just play with that. Play with that range of motion. Eventually you'll be able to get back further over time, but you just have to, it's kind of like retraining your body. You can just lean back. Oh, it feels good. If you want to intensify, you can stick this leg out. Oh, if you can't do that, that is okay. Oh, it feels good. Okay, I'm really feeling it back here in this SI. I'm feeling it just this whole quadrant. If I could light it up with animation, I would show you. Oh, but it feels good. It feels really good. And you can do those backward pumps, just really moving and playing with that range of motion, stretching that quad. This is a really good time too if your quad's really tight, if it's very locked up, or your quad's locked up, or your IT, any of this stuff. You can come in here and you can literally find the little lumpies. The little lumpies are congested areas in the muscle tissues, and you can just come in and hold those. Just push and hold. It feels so good. It's like a myofascial release that you can get out of there. You can also do little choppies. You can get in here and use your knuckles. You can just beat it up. Whatever feels good, do it if you need to. If you want to get a tool, you can use a rolling pin and just go to town. Like, that'll be good too. But I like to just kind of use my hand and just move it a little bit. All right. Oh, now we're going to go back into this cheerleader, and then gently we're going to come here, bring both legs up just so that your knees are bent, and we're getting ready to transition to the other side. You can totally do little transition butterfly things if you need to. Sometimes I do that during a stretch session because I just don't want to shock anybody's system when you got a lot of work. So it's good to be like, okay, body. Now we're transitioning. So we're going to be doing the left side now, same as the other side. So cheerleader, pigeon, 90 degrees, and then quad. Okay, so here we go. We're going to lean over this left knee. Oh, yeah. And you can use the blocks if you need to. Don't push yourself further than what feels good. Even if it's a little intense, that's okay. But if you're getting pain, if you're getting, where your body's really telling you, I don't like this, we're not ready for this, don't do it. Don't do it. Be real gentle. But if you can, just hang out. Oh, it feels so good. So good. Don't forget to rock. I'm rocking in my hips. I'm rocking in my upper body. I'm going to do some nice pumps. Don't forget to do those pumps. Yes, that feels so good. All right, and after you've got your fill of that one, you're like, okay, I'm ready to transition. We're going to go into full pigeon pose. And like I said, if you can only go right here for more pigeon, that's fine. But you want to try to work, eventually you'll be able to do this. Maybe, depending on what's going on for you. And if you find this too easy and you're like, this isn't a challenge, move that lower leg. I challenge you to do that. Tell me that's easy. Okay, let's bring it back to where I like it right here. Oh, and I'm just going to go into that. You can use your blocks if you need to. It should feel really good. Oh gosh, I just feel so much lengthening in this lower, like the QL. I feel it down here in this hip. Feels so good. And I'm just going to rock those hips so that it just keeps moving that joint, showing the body that it's okay. It feels good to do that range of motion. Really working with the tension in that muscle and in those rotators. Oh, feels so good. Oh, and then those pumps. The pumps feel so good, especially right before a transition. Good. All right, now we're going to go into 90 degrees. So we're rolling back to the side so that we can take this left leg and go straight out in front, creating that 90-degree-ish angle here. If you need to have this leg in, you can. Whatever feels good, but I'm going to try to go like this. And then you're going to take your upper body and go directly above this way. Oh my gosh, yeah, and that is, this hip is tight. So it's getting a nice pin and stretch right in there. It feels so good. Oh. And I'm sure there are some of you that are like, well, I can do this laying down and pull your leg over you and maybe use a rope. That does work, but I like this because I can relax this upper body. Like, I'm fully relaxed. I'm just letting gravity help me do this awesome stretch for myself. And it feels so good. Oh, I'm going to go all the way down. Oh, it took me a minute because that hip was tight. So, like I said, listen to your body. And just really try to play with that range of motion. Challenge yourself a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. You don't have to torture yourself. It's good. And I feel a little bit of tension in my foot, so I'm going to get those pinchers. I'm going to come right in here. Ooh, and that attachment right there. And I'm going to pinch the top and that bottom. It feels so good. Wiggle those toes. Go up and down in there. Get the tops of those toes. It's a really good time to really kind of work some of this out if you need to. Feels really good. Oh, all right. And then when you're ready, before your transition, make sure to do those pumps, because that just, oh, it feels so good. It's like, oh my gosh, yes. And then we're going to come back into cheerleader. Gently come back into cheerleader. Now it's time to get this quad. So what we're going to do is we're here in cheerleader, and we're just going back. Just back, lean back. Oh, it feels so good. And you can use those blocks. I'll show you again. If you need to, if you can't go back that far, just kind of hold these guys up and just do what you can. Just do what you can. Even just doing this, I definitely feel it. But I like it a little bit more intense, so I'm going to go back like this. Oh. And don't forget, if you're real tight in here and it's really protesting, find those lumps, find those spots. You'll know them by touch, because your body will respond when you push into it. And if it doesn't, you're feeling for little lumpies. There shouldn't be any lumpies there. So if you feel little bumpy things underneath there, just find them, and oh, there's one. Hold it. Just let it just release calmly. If you're in a time crunch, start beating it. Start tricking it. Oh, feels good. So nice little rubs there just to get things moving, waking them up. Do some karate chop. It feels really good. So don't be afraid to play in there and work that. If you want to work on this side, you can work on this side. If you have knee stuff, you can get knee stuff. There's all sorts of stuff you can do when you're in these positions. Oh, just some little pumps here. Oh, feels good. If you want to intensify, you can stick that leg out. Oh, can feel that all the way from like right in here, all the way across the knee, all the way up into my hip. I'm like, oh my goodness. Feels so good though. All right, and then we're gonna come out of this. And we can go back into that nice transition with those knees bent. You can kind of just walk around on your glutes here. Just kind of go, oh yeah, that glute, and then this one. Come down into that butterfly if you need to. Oh, don't be afraid to move that neck, move that thoracic. Oh, it's kind of like, I always combine the cat-cows with most of these because it just feels so good. All right, and then when you're done with that, we're going to go back and get onto our knees and our hands here. And then I'm just going to scooch back here because before I get up from a stretch, I like to do a nice hamstring stretch. It really evens it out if you have any sort of hip back stuff going on. It feels so good. You definitely don't want to just jump up. Trust me. But if you're a person that likes to just jump up, that's fine, but I don't like it. Oh, yes. So I like to go wide. I like to think like sumo. I like to think like just really just so I can like just let my upper body just go. It feels so freaking good. And then I like to combine this with those cat-cows. Oh, yeah. Come in a little bit more just to intensify. Make sure and sway those hips and those knees side to side. I usually get some really nice hip pops, like right in here. And it feels so good. So good just to know that that joint is able to move instead of being stuck. But if you don't get those pops, that's okay. This is still excellent and feels so good. And you can definitely do little pumps in there. And before I transition up, or as I'm transitioning up, I like to bring my hands up to my knees and just kind of hang out here. I like to think like Mount Everest, where I'm like, nope, I'm taking my time so I don't die when I get to the top. So I'm sitting here acclimating at base camp, just like, okay. And then when you're ready, when you feel good, you can kind of just move that pelvis a little bit. And then just stand up. Oh, don't forget to shake it out like all of our animals have it right. Should be shaking it out. Oh my gosh, and just enjoy those results because it feels so good. All right, now for upper body stuff. I love using the rope. You can use a broomstick, you can use an outside stick, you can use a towel, you can use a strap, you can use whatever you have. This is just a nice rope that I like to use, and I like to double it up. This is probably a 6-foot rope, so that you can use it for other things, but right now we're just going to fold it in half so that you can do this upper body. And I like to think like, okay, I'm engaging, but I'm also stretching. So I'm really like pushing out, pulling this like, oh yeah, that feels good. Think Ninja Warrior, just like ready for battle. And then now I want everybody to be really careful with this if you don't have a lot of mobility in the shoulders. I used to only be able to go about right here. Now I can go really far, which I'll show you, but go where you can and challenge yourself a little bit. Like get to where you're doing it, where you're like, this is good, this feels good. So pushing out, engaging those shoulders, engaging my arms, I'm really solid. And now I'm also, even though I'm rigid, I'm allowing my arms to move up. I'm moving these shoulders up. Oh, yes, it feels so good. If you're in front of a mirror and you notice yourself compensating, so like here's a compensation, it's like, then I'm out of my range of motion. Here's a good range of motion where my shoulders are controlled. I'm not compensating with compensating with any of weird muscles or anything. It's like, nope, I'm using my arms and I'm moving in that shoulder joint. And I still have a tight grip on this. Oh, yeah. And now you're just going to kind of pulse that. Oh, yeah, if this is all you can go, come back a little bit, and then you can go back, just play where you're at. I can go a little bit wider, and now I can go back further. I felt a little compensation here on this side, so let's fix it. Right here, go back, back, back. Oh, yes. Hold it. Oh, it feels so good. And now bring it back. You can go and play in that range of motion. Keep testing it. Keep moving. You'll get to see how far you can go. And then you can do some crazy orangutan pulls here. Like, oh, get that shoulder, get that scapula. Oh, it feels so good. So I'm basically using this to pull this arm over, and I'm allowing this arm to be pulled. Oh, it's getting that teres. Oh, all that stuff feels so, so good. Oh. Okay, and then, oh, look, it opened that up even more. Way more. Oh, there was a pop. That's good. Whew. I'll show you this from the side, just because it looks a little different. So you're coming up, finding that spot, pump it, play with it, and then see how far your body, as you relax, will allow you to go into that range of motion. Oh, yes. Now, my arms, without holding this rope, I can't have my arms in this angle, in this position, and just have them going around in circles. Like, that doesn't work. But with the tautness of this rope and me pulling it, I can work and wiggle and move this down. Oh, you can bring it and do some side to side here. Oh, it feels so good, that tug of war. Here's that orangutan from the side. Oh, wild arms. Feels so good. I usually get hot, like I'm getting hot right now. My body temperature's going up. Oh, because it's really opening my chest. And that is a good thing. That is a very good thing. Oh, yes. Whew. Okay, and after you do that, you can bring this rope behind you. And I like to bring my hands to the front. We're going to also go to the back too, so whichever one you choose to start with is fine. But I'm going to start with the forward front, and then I'm pushing back. Oh, I'm really engaging those triceps. Oh, and my traps. Whew. Really pushing. We'll go to the side and see. You just go back as far as you can, and then, play with that range of motion. Whew. Oh, yeah. And then you can do your side to side this way. Nice tug of war. And now we're going to bring our hands to the back and we're going to push up again. So, oh yeah, and this one's even harder. I'll go to the side here. Just really pump it. Oh gosh, I feel that in the deltoid. So very shoulder, very upper arm. Oh, woo. Oh, all right, that feels great. You can finish up with some of these guys here, kind of do that dance move that shoulder. Some people like to do boring stretches. I don't do boring stretches. I like to move. I like it to feel good. I like it to move energy and be as productive as it can. So be silly, play with it. You can take your hands, come up and then reverse. Whew, yes, I usually get good shoulder pops with that. Oh, just move it open. Kind of do those without the rope. Oh, come back and hold this guy. Oh, feels good. I like to bring my head back, bring the chin in to the worst position ever for looks, but it feels so good. Oh, whew. Once again, shake it out. Oh, and now move on with your life. All right, so here's some of the bonus material. This one's really fun. I don't know what it's called, but I saw it on Instagram and I tried it. I about killed myself doing it. So I want you to be really, really careful. But it's an adductor stretch, so that's these inner guys here. And it really releases your back, like your low back, into your SI, your glutes, all that stuff. It's awesome because it's like you're stretching those opposing muscles that are always trying to like pull your legs in and keep you just stiff like that. So this, you want to be really gentle when you do it. And I'll show you the more sophisticated way since I practiced it, but I'll also show you where I started. So I want to get into that hands and knees position. And I call it drop kick or Mortal Kombat stuff because I don't really know what it's called, but it reminds me of that. And I'm going to take this leg out to the side. So think like that 90 degrees, but now we're like in a little triangle here. And have my foot there. And then when I first started doing this, it was hard for me to even be in this position. So if that's where you're at, where you're like, that's all I can do, I can't really move anymore, then just hang out here and rotate in that hip joint. You will feel this being stretched just by doing that and adding a little movement. Your body's gonna thank you a lot. But eventually you'll be able to get to where you can lean back. So you're leaning back and it's stretching and really working in that joint. Oh gosh, it's hard, but it feels so good. Oh, and then you can just really play with it. I like to do different stuff where I'm kind of moving that hip while it's down like this. It feels so good. Oh, whew. And it doesn't take much. So like I said, if all you can do is get in this position and put your leg out and that's it, stop. To get out of this position, it was hard at first for me. So what I did was I rotated my hips towards the leg that was out and then dropped the knee. And that helped me be able to get back without it going, oh my gosh, this is hurting me, not helping me. All right, and then we're going to get this other side. So out to the side I'm going to put my left foot out there, making that triangle. Oh, yes, and just rotate in that hip joint if that's all you can do. If you're able to go back and bend that knee and you're just kind of leaning back with that range of motion of the knee. On the right side where that left leg is just out there. Oh, it feels good. And then you can dance around with it, play in that range of motion. I'm getting a lot of ankle pops right now, which feels really good. And knee. Yes, feels so, so, so good. And it doesn't take much, so you don't have to hang out here very long. And then when you're ready to come out of it, I'm going to rotate my left hip like I'm going out with it and bringing that knee down and then coming back to neutral. That feels so good. All right, and then another one. This feels really good. Now you can do this standing up or sitting down. I'll use the yoga blocks here. This is a really good use for yoga blocks. So I want to work this foot. So I'm on my feet a lot and my feet get really tired, especially like I'll start to cramp in here, or it starts to get in my heel where it hurts and I feel it into my calf and I'm like, ugh. Or my SIs lighten up and I'm like, oh man, like I just stretched. Why does that hurt? Might be your feet. So I'm going to come down here. Here's my foot. And I'm just going to raise this guy up. And you don't have to go that far. Go as far that feels good to you. Oh, playing in that range of motion where our toes should be able to go. And if all you can do is go there, or if you can just barely move it, that's okay. You can work up to it. And then I like to come and I'm actually going to take my toes and I'm going to roll my foot on top of those toes. Here's a side view. Like just roll it. Think dancer, think, oh, I'm going to break my feet, but you're not. You're actually going to help them. Feels good. If you have a bunion, which I'll show you on my other foot, this is hard to do, but you can totally do it. Oh, it feels good. Okay, I'm going to come out of it and go back to this one. Oh, yes. Oh, it feels good. There I'm getting toe pops. It starts to open those energy line channels. It really opens up all these little guys in here, all of this. When you stand up and do it, can be easier if it's too much to be on the ground. So you just find something to hold on to. You can hold on to something up here too, but this is what I have right now. You're just going to bring those. I like to start like this if I'm standing up. Oh, yes. Like just really let your weight kind of go in there. Now, not enough to break your toes, so be mindful, but it's just like, oh yeah, that feels good. Just kind of playing with that range. And then coming back, and I'm going to play with it this way. Oh, feels good. I try to make sure my ankle, because my ankles want to go like this, I try to line those up the best that I can. But, do what you can. You got to just start somewhere. Wiggle it in that joint. Oh, that feels better. Now, this is my bunion foot. You can see I also have a wound here from my dog's toenail, who likes to step on my toes. This has been healed a lot. See, I actually have some movement in there. This used to be really bad and just stuck, like just over like that. But I've worked on it a lot. So when you have a bunion, you're trying to do this stuff, you want to go extra slow. The trick that worked for me was when I start like this. So I'm going to just kind of come down here and gently try to wiggle those toes and then, go into it. Oh my God, yeah. Feels awesome. Definitely getting some pops. And just kind of work that. Make sure that ankle is as much in alignment, not going out to the side and stuff. It feels better when it's in alignment. Hold that and then come down. And then we're going to go into this guy. Once again, I'm going to just kind of push that toe out just so that it doesn't crumple in. Oh yeah. Make sure my ankle is in alignment. Oh, it feels awesome. All right, and then just come back into that some more. There gets to be a certain point where all of this will just kind of give and you're just like, oh yeah, there it is. Like that's kind of what you're shooting for. But right now you can just try to just play with it. Play in that range of motion, play with those toes. See what it feels like to you. See what feels good. And let me know if you come up with anything awesome, like show me. I love learning stuff. I'll always be learning stuff. And I'm going to share the stuff that works for me as much as I can. All right, those are happier feet. I hope your feet are happier too. Okay. All right, here I go for real. This is so fucking weird. It's not weird. I do this all the time.